Matthew 12, starting in verse 10. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath days? That they might accuse him. And he said unto them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? Now here's verse 12 of Matthew 12. This is very important. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. Why would Jesus bother discussing what was lawful to do on the Sabbath days if his followers weren't going to be keeping it anymore? If the Sabbath was going to be done away and changed, and all days were now alike, as some claim, wouldn't Jesus have known about it? Of course he would have. But the Sabbath was never done away with. And Jesus, as I said, in Matthew 12, verse 12, he would not have bothered discussing what was lawful to do on the Sabbath unless he knew his followers would still be keeping the Sabbath. In like manner, Matthew 24, verse 3, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. If you drop down to verse 20 of Matthew 24, Jesus said, Pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. That's another verse that makes no sense unless his end-time followers are keeping the Sabbath. So, as I said, Matthew 12, verse 12, go study that, and Matthew 24, verse 20. Are those direct Sabbath command verses? No. Do they show his followers would be keeping the Sabbath in the end time, and that Jesus understood that what was lawful to do on the Sabbath would be important? Yes, they certainly do. Now, some deridingly like to say, well, the Sabbath is just for the Jews. It's the Jewish Sabbath. As my friend Mick points out, though, is the command not to kill just a Jewish commandment? Is the command not to commit adultery just a Jewish commandment? And by the way, aren't we supposed to be spiritual Jews, Jews inwardly, as Romans 2, verse 29 says? Isn't salvation of the Jews, as John 4, verse 22 says? And Galatians 3:29 says we are Abraham's seed if we're converted. But that's an aside. So for those of you keeping the Sabbath tonight at sundown, have a very blessed and pleasant Sabbath. And for the rest of you, have a peaceful, safe weekend. Bye-bye, friends.